Take us through what's happened today.
Hi, Nzinga. Yes, it is day. Hi, Nzinga. Yes, it is day 2, and a lot has happened. We've seen ministers meeting up together to talk about policy with regards to bridging the digital divide around the world in different countries. And we've also seen how policy, they've spoken about how policy is a key role, plays a very integral and key role with regards to making sure that this actually becomes a reality. But I'm actually joined here by one of our ministers, Minister of Telecommunications, Mr. Siyabonga Cwele. He's going to speak to us about policies that government is actually going to be putting in place in order to improve the ICT sector and improve investments within the sector, and also try to bring down the cost of connectivity. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Hi, good afternoon, and all the viewers at home.
Thank you so much. Minister Cwele, please tell us more about the policies that government is trying to implement in order to make it easier for telecommunications to invest in ICT and so on in the country.
Yes, one of the key policies, I've been to different sessions here. They were saying we must go beyond just infrastructure sharing, passive infrastructure, to dynamic infrastructure sharing, including spectrum sharing, which is there in our new policy. We have now a bill which we have submitted to Parliament to put these things into certainty in terms of legislation, after listening to inputs from the private sector. The other key element of a policy just beyond the infrastructure sharing is to enable the SMMEs and find people who can deliver this infrastructure at a most cost-effective basis, particularly in the underserved areas and rural areas. Those are the things which are reflected in our policy and enablers which continue to. The spectrum policy, for instance, the President announced, it reduces the cost of deploying the infrastructure. Now that the Cabinet has taken a decision, we're working with the ICASA to enable them to license this spectrum as soon as possible, so that we can reduce the cost of deploying the infrastructure. The last element, I've been to the Fiber Council meeting here. I've been to Internet for All Forum. All of them, they're saying the issue of giving permissions. This rapid deployment policy, we're working with our municipalities and the provinces to ensure that when the operators want to put their infrastructure, there are no delays. They are common standard, so that they can lay the infrastructure, because it can cost the operators up to 37% of the current cost. So if we can remove the delays by our local authorities, by private landowners in giving the permission, that's why we've got this coordination center in our office in Pretoria now to help coordinate those activities, so that we make it easy for the operators to put their infrastructure.
I'm sure operators are going to be very happy to hear about the spectrum sharing, because earlier today I had a conversation with MTN CEO, and he welcomed the idea of spectrum sharing and so on. And I know that government has been working with the private sector in order to roll out some of these things. Can you please tell us about the nature of that relationship and what you've managed to achieve so thus far?
Last year we launched in Soweto the project called Internet for All. I was very pleased to get a progress report working with our domestic and international partners in this project, because that project doesn't only look on the supply side, the infrastructure issues. What we've seen is that the demand sides matter. The issue of content, for instance, working with these global partners, we have started translating the language from English to our own local languages on the internet. Now in Mpumalanga, we can access your internet in Siswati and Eastern Cape Xhosa, and we are continuing to expand this program to other provinces. Working with these partners, because partnerships are also important. Our research institution, CSIR, they've done detailed mapping of where the gap is to reach our people. And now we know it's no more the infrastructure lack, it's these other matters, demand side, because they've done a detailed study in the Limpopo province, they've done a detailed study in Eastern Cape, which shows us that we've got about just 1 million people who doesn't have access. Others do have access, but what they need is affordability, the issue of cost, and is issue of language, the issue of utilizing the local content and digitizing our local content. As you know, as African, we don't write our history. We have got oral history. So now people were making an undertaking to digitize the oral history, which is so rich in South Africa, so that we can monetize that. We can have our kids making profits and running this program even over a platform like television, because video is the big game as we go to 5G.
Yes, 5G. Minister, another thing that has happened is that MTN has actually entered into some trouble abroad in Nigeria with the authorities there. Please tell us more about what government can do to assist them, if it's even possible.
Yes, we are quite concerned as government. We have engaged MTN. They've asked us for now not to intervene because they are still following the legal process and engaging the authorities in Nigeria. But as a country, we remain committed to ensure that we support our companies to trade freely and, of course, follow the laws, but trade freely in all the continents so that they can continue to invest. As you know, MTN has invested large sums of money in Nigeria. They've got a huge market there, which is already using MTN networks. And we really hope that the MTN will be able to discuss and find a solution, a good solution with the Nigerian authorities. But if they do need, when they need our assistance, we'll be able to intervene and also interact with our counterparts in Nigeria.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, Minister.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's back to you, Nzinga, in studio.